Okay, today for Quaver, we're going to be looking at a video on how to use a program inside of Quaver called QBackbeats. It's a really cool program where you can make your own drum beats. So once you log in, and I'm going to assume you already know how, whoops, I'm going to assume you already know how to get in here. I'm going to go ahead and go from this point, starting at Quaver Street. So we'll click on Apps. And then when that opens, we're going to go over here to the Studio section and click on QBackbeats. And then this will open up and you'll see a screen similar to this. The very first time you open it up, you'll probably see Quaver's face, and then he'll give you an opportunity to watch a tutorial on how to use this program. It's a good tutorial. I recommend it if you want to watch it. Might be a little smoother than mine, but even so, I would just want to show you around. And what I would like for you guys to do this week is to make a beat, have some fun, make some drum beats, and send me what you have made. Okay, so let me show you around. First, you see this grid, a bunch of squares. If you look at these red dots along the top, each one of those red dots equals one beat per for red dot. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you see this white line right here. That white line marks the end of the 4 beats or the end of this measure. So this square of squares is one measure, and then you notice it says 2 here, and then we have 4 more beats. This is the second measure. If you look and you slide this slider down, you have lots and lots of measures to work with. If you want, you don't have to. You can go up to 64. So this is a measure of 4 beats. This is a measure of 4 beats. Easy to remember. So if you remember correctly in your lessons, each beat or 1 quarter note equals 1 beat. So if I were to click on the box just below each one of those beats, those would each be a quarter note. I can look at this in music by clicking on the Show Notes button here. It'll show me that I've made 4 quarter notes. If I hide those and I click each one of these again, you'll notice that those gray lines show up, which means all of these notes have been cut in half, which means now there's 2 notes for every beat. All right, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, then 1, 2. All right, if you remember, those are called eighth notes. And it's easy to remember because now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eighth notes in one measure. All right, so if I click on Show Notes, you'll see this. You have 8 eighth notes. Okay, remember that they're tied together. If we click on each one of these again, we'll cut them in half one more time. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Those are, you guessed it, 16th notes, and they look like this. All right, you notice they have the 2 bars across the top, so those are 16th notes. Notice that there are 4 16th notes for every beat. All right. Anyhow, if you want to get rid of the notes in a square, you just click and hold and drag, and it will get rid of everything there. Okay, so what I want to show you how to do is make a quick and easy beat. So we're going to start with the bass drum, which is the thump, the deep drum you hear in a drum set. You can click on the sound over here to hear what it sounds like. So that's your bass drum. Here's a rock snare drum. Here's a rock tom 1, which is a higher note, and then a rock tom 2, which is a lower note. Okay, then you have a rock hi-hat. These are the 2 cymbals that are upside down, one over the other, and it sounds like this. And then if you open those cymbals and hit them, it sounds like this. And then there's a rock ride cymbal and a rock crash cymbal. Okay, so these are the sounds we're going to use. We're going to start by just clicking on the bass drum line. This, if you notice, this bass drum has a red circle around it, and then the red comes over here. That means this line is all bass drum. So we're click just underneath each beat. So we have 4 beats. Again, those are 4 quarter notes. If you want to hear what that sounds like, you push play. Now it only plays once. If you want it to keep playing that measure or anything you've written over and over again, you click on this button right here. This is a repeat sign. The 2 lines and the 2 dots in music means repeat, means go back and repeat everything that happened before it, or in between 2 signs like this. So click on that and play, and it keeps going. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you made 2 measures worth of music, here, let me do that. It will play 2 measures and then start over again. So what that means is when you push this button, as long as your piece is, it will just start repeating every time it gets to the end. Okay, so let's make a beat. So next sound we're going to use is the rock snare. And I'm going to put a rock snare under the second beat right here and the 4th beat. Let's hear what that sounds like. Alright, okay, so we're getting somewhere. Now, a lot of times in music you'll hear the hi-hat playing along with a beat like this. So I'm going to click the 4 quarter notes, but I'm going to click each one of them again and make them 8th notes. Let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, so now we see what that sounds like. Now, there's one thing I like to do is sometimes I like to change how loud and soft the sounds are. You see these down here that says soft, medium, and loud. I want to make every other hi-hat beat soft. It'll sound more natural, like a human's playing it instead of a computer. So I just click soft, and then I click the note that I want to be softer. Let's hear how that sounds. To me, that sounds better. I want to get rid of this last note here, and I'm going to put an open hi-hat sound right there. And I'm going to make that one loud. So let's hear how that sounds. Now, by now you're probably wondering, how come I'm not putting anything in the second measure? It's because I'm going to do what's called a drum fill there. I'm going to use the rock tom 1 and rock tom 2 to make something kind of fun there. So first I'm going to start with 2 quarter notes with each drum, but that's going to be kind of boring. All right, let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to separate these. Click, click, make 8 notes. Let's hear how that sounds. That's better, but you know, I think I'd like to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to take these last 2 8th notes on the rock tom 1 and click on them and make them into 16th notes. Let's hear how that sounds. And maybe I'll do something kind of the same down here, but I'm going to do the last 3 8th notes. I'm going to turn into 16th notes. Let's hear how that sounds. And kind of what I did with the hi-hat, I want to make some of them a little bit softer. Let's see how that sounds. You know, I think that sounds soft enough. All right, let's hear that. That's too much. But anyhow, you get the idea. I want to change it back to medium. Makes it feel a little bit more human if you have different levels of sound, because when a real person is playing, they're not always hitting everything exactly the same way every time. Okay, so that's how you can make a 2-measure drum beat. Another thing you can do is change how fast it goes. If you look here, we have a metronome. It has largo, moderato, which is selected now, and presto. Moderato is a medium speed. That's what we're hearing right now. If we want to make it slow, we can click on largo. Okay, so if we're going to make a slow song, that's what we would choose, is largo. If we want it to be really fast, we press presto, which means fast. Let's listen. Alright, so you get the idea. I like moderato. Some of you guys will probably like presto. And one last thing I want to add is a rock crash right at the very beginning, because that's how you start a song, with a good crash. Let's listen. Okay, so now that's how you can create a beat. And you can make it as long as you want. You can make it, again, all the way up to 64 measures long, which is pretty long. One other thing I want to show you before we stop is how you can get different sounds to choose from here. If you don't like these sounds, or you want to add something different, you can make what's called your own drum kit. You notice here it says Kit Title Standard Kit. This is the default kit when you open it up. But you see here it says Kit Lab. So we click on that, and you have different drums over here. You have the standard kit that we were just using. But there's also a hip hop kit, which has different sounds. Listen. Alright, so you can use a hip hop kit, and you can even make your own kit. Click New, and you can name it whatever you want. We'll just call this the AJ kit. Click OK. Now it's going to start with just your basic drums, but you can have all these different types of drums. If you click Latin kit, then you have all these Latin instruments. And you can add those in there. Let's see. Instead of Rock Ride, I'm going to put in Tambourine 1. And just put it over top and drop it. And now that's in the kit. Instead of a Rock Tom 1 and a Rock Tom 2, I'm going to put in congas. So you just drag them over. And you can use maracas instead of a hi-hat. You get the idea. So you can just kind of create your own kit. Alright, so that's my AJ kit. Now if I go back here, the AJ kit is selected. So let's hear how that changed what we hear. So you can see the hi-hat sound is different now. And the drums over here are congas instead of tom-toms. And we made a tambourine, so why don't we add the tambourine in there? Let's hear how that sounds. You get the idea. You can change the kit and get a lot of different sounds. So that can make it even more fun, especially if you want more like a beatbox kind of sound. You can use the hip hop kit. But anyway, whatever you want to do, have fun with it. And you can always click Show Notes to show what it looks like if you were to write it out in regular music. All right, have fun with this. Send me your beats. Send your teacher your beats. Let's see who comes up with the coolest beat by the end of the year. Take care.